What's up, people? Can you see us okay? I'm going to double check our window here on YouTube and make sure. Oh, there's an ad playing. So, of course we skip the ad. Yes, I get ads even on my own videos. I think it's working.
It looks good.
It's okay. Are we small in one corner? Is that a thing? Or is it... No. Tell us if it looks okay, guys. Out there. Give us a little feedback. I'm sorry I didn't even introduce you. This is my buddy Tracy. We're having fun in Tracy's den of doom here.
Yeah, what is this?
Oh, I mean, this is amazing.
This is like where I played guitar probably for the first time when I was 6 years old.
So that's incredible. You grew up here.
Yeah. My parents got divorced when I don't even remember. I was too young.
Yeah.
And this was my grandparents' house where my dad and my aunt and uncle grew up.
Okay.
And so this has always been my safety zone, you know, like no matter how nuts my parents were, I could be here.
In this room?
I mean, this whole house, you know, but this was always called the playroom.
Yeah.
It's a garage, but it's not functional. It never was. So, you know, I used to come in here with my uncle. He taught me how to play guitar, and still here.
It's amazing, man. I mean, I love that, you know. I
got kids growing up in here now.
That's so cool. I mean, and you know, it's rare to meet folks. I'm going to move the mic a little closer because I got my computer fan going. All right. And I bet it's going to be better for sound.
You got something you pop that on?
And I completely lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? But anyways, full circle. It's fantastic that you're still here.
Yeah.
Thank you, good sir.
Use a tweed amp. There you go. Perfect microphone.
You should introduce yourself now that you're...
Hi, I'm Dave. Dave's not here, man. Dave's not here, man.
Okay, there we go. Oh, thank you so much. That's perfect.
Great. Those tweed amps are great microphone stands.
It's true. We got a little, what is this, a Fender?
That's the mini, what is it?
Blues DeVille or something?
No,
Deluxe?
I can't remember. I'm 55, man. I don't remember shit.
Well, we've been sitting here and geeking out for about a half an hour before we invited you guys in, and we started. There's so much to cover here, and I know I'm just going to be schizophrenic and go from one thing to another.
Yeah, you want to just get that fun stuff out of the way, people.
Well, should we? I mean, we can dive right into the gear. Or we can first say, I mean, we met about, I don't know, on Twitter, really, like about a year or a year and a half ago. We became buds because, I don't know, you're just rad. You live in Denmark, you live here, you split your time.
Right.
And we started geeking out about all kinds of stuff, including guitar gear. So, I don't know.
And then that's Gretchen Menn was a mutual friend of ours as well.
The great Gretchen Menn. That's right. She's a fantastic guitarist.
We love Gretchen.
Yeah,
she's so cool. And her husband plays guitar like he's from another planet.
That guy, I mean,
Jesus Christ,
he's a monster, right? He's from Italy.
Nicest guy, yeah. They're were in the same position I am about a year ago. They've been together for a long time.
Yeah,
but he could only stay here for 90 days at a time. She could only stay there for 90 days at a time.
Sure,
which is sort of like how me and my wife are, except she has a green card. Yeah. But me over there, I'm still waiting for my work permit to go through. It's just like, we're married, we have kids, and everything. And it's like, they're like, you have to prove yourself. It's like,
But I love the idea of you splitting your time between here and there. I'm sure that stuff will all get ironed out. And then
it will.
Because Aarhus, which is also the home of TC Electronic, I had fun going over there and meeting all the TC folks. But that's a beautiful town.
It's incredible. It's just like, if I had a map of Disneyland up right now, you could see how Disneyland is like a bicycle wheel.
Okay.
With cobblestone streets and, Main Street and the pirates and the restaurants and all these things. Well, Aarhus is laid out just like that. And it's not much bigger than Disneyland. And we live right at, on the ocean in the center. So it's like, here's the Hound, the port. And we live right across the street from the port. And behind us are those kind of bicycle spoke cobble streets with all the food and the shopping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's mellow. It's a much different pace life than Los Angeles. It's, traffic there is when you waited at a stoplight for like 3 minutes. People are like, shucks. That's how mad they get, like, gosh,
Oh man,
kind of a thing. So I mean, that's the general thing, and things are just really practical over there and stuff.
Yeah.
And here, it's kind of anything goes, isn't it? I mean, you can do whatever you want here, and we have cracks in our streets here, and it's crazy right now. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess that variety is part of what's great about being a musician. Like you've spent your life traveling and playing guitar, different projects, and that's no 2 days are the same, and being in different places and that variety is what keeps it fresh and new, I think. Eh?
It does. And I think, especially when I was younger, I would really explore, when we go to different cities, even in the States, like, oh, where am I? Oh, this is cool,
Sure.
But over time, you kind of feel like you've seen most of everything you really want to see. And so the next logical step is to move somewhere, you know what I mean? To like really see what another place is like and broaden your horizons. The negative side to doing what you do and what I do with touring and traveling is that when you're home for a couple weeks and you're going to be home for months, those first couple weeks, you kind of have real bad ADD. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Am I cranky? No. Am I bored? Yeah, kind of. What should I do? I don't know. I think I'll start an argument with everybody around me. It's kind of.
I call it re-entry.
Re-entry. Exactly. And, I still have issues with re-entry going back there and then coming back here.
Okay.
Because really, since the pandemic, they've only been here once for like a month and a half. Yeah. It's just safer over there, and so I'm the one that's re-entering all the time, going back and forth. So yeah, that's a little weird, but after like 7 or 8 days go by, I'm like, okay.
That's the marker for me, a week. Yeah. Like I find myself kind of, when I go on tour, I find myself a little aggravated or a little like sometimes like 5 days in, I'm like, I can be a little punchy, like just a little, Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, it's that, just give it a couple days. And when I get to day 8, I'm just cool. Yeah. You're over a jet lag period. You're like kind of in the zone, like living on a bus, getting used to living on a bus. Right. 8 days in about is when I'm cruising now.
I think by now I'm used to not living on a bus, and I'm really okay with it right now. I'm like, yeah, man, this is nice.
It is a bit of an adjustment.
I mean, I'm not the cleanest person in the world, so like my bunk in the bus, like after a week, it's like I gotta like, get the cookie crumbs out of it, the old pizza, and
you find things stuffed in the corners and
I'm just, I never grew up that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. So who we got here? Let's see. We got Ethan. Thanks for being here, Ben. Ben Coombs, my faithful moderator, who is always there for me. I appreciate it. You adjusting your time, and all you guys. Thanks for coming at a different time today. We got about 388 people online. It's great to see y'all. So what do we got in this room? First of all, we got this killer guitar.
Yeah,
let me play.
The Gun Star.
Your new signature model.
Yeah, this is my new signature model from Kramer. But I cheated because I had Adam from FU Tone come in there and do that stuff.
You always know when you see the red springs and the big block and all that.
Yeah, that was, we were trying to do a Futone deal with Kramer. But it's an expense that we would have to pass on to the consumer.
Right.
So we're still talking about it, if we do a Gunstar 2, that upgrade. And I mean, the thing with the upgrade is it's just more expensive. That's what it does for the guitar. It makes it more expensive.
You end up passing that on to the consumer.
Yeah.
And it's like,
But really quick, because we got so much stuff to talk about that's more exciting.
This is beautiful though, by the way. I mean, playing it, it's the neck is
smooth,
like,
right?
Yeah. Well, it kind of reminds me of my Ibanez Destroyer I got recently.
Yeah.
That's the most comfortable.
Really C-shaped, thin, fast maple fretboard. And the reason it's got maple is because I wanted it to look like a bolt-on, because star bodies generally have bolt-ons, but it's a set neck, as you can see.
So it's like Les Paul style construction, glue in, eh?
It is. It is. And it's mahogany. And here's the maple. We don't have a maple top. Coil taps, pro buckers. It's just like a Les Paul, except it's not Les Paul scale. It's the Strat scale.
Okay.
Neck. But those are the same pickups I use in all of my Les Pauls, except this one where I just put the DiMarzios in.
Which we can talk about for sure. We got to talk about
that guitar is just wow. But anyways, Kramer Gunstar Voyager TRACII Guns Signature Edition model. There's a few left online, I think. So they're cheap. They're like $8.99 retail. So you could wait for them to be used in like a year and get them for $600.
Well, that's a great price.
They're cheap. They're made in Korea, and they're titties. They're killer.
I mean, the neck is it's fantastic. So, well, I'll put the link in the description below if I got a link that I can get for the for this guitar, so you guys can check it out. But it is really nice guitar, I have to say. It's fantastic.
It does what it's supposed to, and it sounds like this. So when we're using my head rush, which is the only thing I use live, and the way I set it up is I come left and right out, and I go into the effects return of this amp and of that amp. So now I'm only using the power sections of those amps and real speakers. Pete asked me a question earlier about, do I use a speaker simulator even though I'm running into speakers? And the answer is yes, I do. So you just dial it in. And the reason why I do that is because I also use the Headrush powered speakers in front of me. Right. So I have to have the same sound coming out of both things. So with this setup, we have a speaker. It's an IR. I don't know which one I use. I'd have to look it up. But so basically, this is a JCM 800.
Just so folks down on the floor there's the head rush.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
there it is.
So that's hooked up for stereo. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's stereo. And right now I have the stereo delay thingy off. So I'm going to show you what I do when I'm checking my sound, right? So I turn everything on and I pull my volume pedal back. And what this is supposed to be is a JCM 800 with the preamp at midnight or noon. And it should sound like this. Right? Kind of like a garagey, semi-overdriven sound. And what that does is it allows me to get really clean. Sure. But still, so dynamics of the hand, right?
Like a JCM 800 with the gain on 5 or something.
Right,
like
right.
That.
Just kind of like, that's an ordinary guitar sound.
Right.
You know, I always start there. Then when I put the volume pedal all the way up, well, we crank the preamp. Right? So that's the sound everybody wants, the basic sound. And then to get, by the way, this is my Cocked and Loaded patch. This is from the album Cocked and Loaded by Fabulous LA Guns.
There you go.
So then the next thing that I got to do is I turn on my stereo delay, which in the old days used to just be a delay on one of the amps. So it would kind of blend in. It would create kind of the seasick kind of feeling. And then I would have a Boss CE3 on the other amp, barely on. That would just like make you more seasick. That's what it did. So, but this one delay does all that because it's a modulating delay. Right? That's
nice. So
you
can hear just the tails of the, and if you just hit just to kind of smack a muted, there we go.
You hear that?
Yeah, a little bit of rhythmic.
I always like that tail because on the live Aussie stuff, every time Randy stopped playing at the end of a song, you'd hear like that's really cool, and
sure.
Obviously Page to go bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
So the last step really for my sound in the Cocked and Loaded patch is turning the distortion pedal on. In this case, it's basically a tube screamer. And really, my impression of that, as much as I want the rig to sound like Randy Rhoads, it really kind of sounds more like Eddie Van Halen. It has those characters and qualities. Now, that's my basic rock LA Guns sound. I have another patch in here, which I'd have to dig in because I haven't even turned this on in a long time.
Yeah.
That is way more high gain, shreddy kind of a thing, because the last couple of LA Guns records have been really heavy. So, but that setting is in the Cocked and Loaded setting, I believe, is called TRACII Live in the Headrush Artist Pack. You can download this stuff from Headrush's website.
I should put their down in the description below. I'll put the Headrush link later.
Okay, we'll do that. And then really, so I use D50 heads. I use a Headrush. I use this. And this is the one pedal I can't live without.
Yeah, so we got Emma, right? Is the company?
Yeah, Emma, and they're in Aarhus.
Yeah.
And this Navigator pedal, if you're an LA Guns fan, and I assume some of you are on here, the last song we put out is called Let You Down. And I wrote that guitar part because of this pedal. And I'll show you what that sounds like. See that? So if I play this song, yeah. Really does that specific thing.
It's a beautiful modulated kind of,
it's the craziest thing. I have pedals, right?
Yeah.
And I'm at the shop because that's where I'm getting my work permitted, so I can work at, it's called Orchestogram. It's in Aarhus, and and it's also the Emma factory in the design lab. And so they give me this pedal, and me and my wife, when we first moved there, we had this little apartment on the roof of a building, and we have a baby on the way and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So my workspace was 2 by 3 meters, whatever that works its way out. It's tiny.
Okay.
And I have this little orange cabinet and a little orange power amp, and I just plugged this pedal directly into it. I'm like, check this pedal out. And I'm like, right away that happened, and I'm like, oh shit. So I just made a little video of it. And I'm like, hey, check this pedal out. This pedal rules. So Freddie, who does he does kind of the PR for Orchestogram and Emma, he reposts it and says, oh, here's TRACII working on a new LA Gun song. And I'm like, I'll never remember what I played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I look at it and I kind of learn it, and I wrote a song out of it because he said I was working on a new song.
That's cool.
And that's where the song came from.
And based on that tone, and that was the inspiration, which is, we were talking earlier, because that's what I do is when I get a pedal, I get inspired by the sound it makes.
Yeah.
And then you write a part, and that's what you did. That's so cool.
But what you do is amazing, man.
Oh man.
I trip out. I watch you, you're like, here's this part, and then here's this part. And for me, I sit right where you're sitting for hours.
Well, sometimes me too.
And I'm like, all right, I need to do this.
Yeah.
No, I need to do this. But the way you put the video together, when you finally get to that point, I'm just like, I want to be Pete Thorn.
Thanks,
I want to be like that guy. I want to play like that. It's also the way you play live too. I don't know if you're a perfectionist. I don't know what the word is, but you're clean and you're accurate. You're very accurate when you play. And me, I can't learn other people's solos, unless someone's like, no, do that. My hearing, my judgment of notes isn't good. Never has been. So I kind of learn somebody's song and then I play it my own way. That's always been the way I do things my whole life since I was little. So then I write all the music I write, and it's just like, okay, this is my shit. But man, when you play, it's just like, that's how I want to play.
Oh man, thanks.
I'm just like, Pete Thorn, that's a solid ass guitar player.
Well, it's interesting because the grass is always greener, and so I please thank you so much for saying that. But
true.
it's like I really admire players that are like, man, I never learn other people's stuff. I do my thing, and there's a beauty in that too, where it's like.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's a balance of it, but all it's done for me is in the last 20 years, my quest for theory and knowledge and all that has just become intense.
It's great though. Yeah.
So I mean, I really understand the guitar a lot better. It doesn't mean though that like when Jimmy Page is playing in a pentatonic, way, when he switches to major, I still don't know that he switched to the major pentatonic. It's just like, now at least an alarm goes off. I'm like, I bet that's what he did.
Right.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
But it's not a natural thing for me. Like, I just don't hear music in those terms. So I've become very technical on one end because I studied it enough now to where I'm like, that's what it is. Okay.
It's a never-ending journey.
Oh my God!
Which is what's so fun about guitar.
It is. It's super fun.
A couple of questions here. Reza says, "Can you tell us the story when you bumped into EVH at a music store on Ventura Boulevard?" Well, you told me a really interesting story about Ed earlier because you guys actually were we were friends, pretty good pals and golfing buddies and guitar.
Yeah, the whole deal. And the story she's referring to, or what's in it?
Oh, it's Reza.
Reza, you have such a cool name. It's like Tracy. You could be a guy or a girl. I don't know. No, so what it was that, and the way I wrote the story on Twitter, it might have came off like I didn't know Eddie, but I already had known Eddie. Someone had ripped off all my CDs on tour. And I was at Music Plus over here in the Valley when there was still those kind of stores. And I just went in really to buy Van Halen 1. That was going to start my collection. Actually, I'm lying. It was either Van Halen 1 or Zeppelin 1. That was the thing. Like, what's going to be my, significant first CD to replace my collection?
Sure.
And Eddie had just had hip surgery. And I was standing at a bin, and I think my ex was in there. I think she goes, "Hey, Eddie's over there." So I turned around, and it was. And he was on crutches, and he was with Valerie for sure. And I think Wolfgang was real little, like 3 years old or something. But anyways, he came right over. I had turned my back because I didn't want to be like, "Hey," you know what I mean? So I just went back to my thing. I felt the tug on my shirt. "Hey, Tracy." "Hey, what are you doing?" And he helped me pick out the first CD, and it ended up being Physical Graffiti. Cool. We decided that was the one. But I really wanted to just say, "I came here to buy Van Halen 1, dude." but I never told him that. But yeah, Eddie's he's a great guy, man.
Yeah, he was a sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
I could see him doing that, pulling on your shirt. "Hey, Tracy."
Oh, yeah. "Hey, Tracy." I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that.
So we got some more super chats here, and I'm sorry if I miss any. Maybe Ben can help me out and post them again at the bottom because I know sometimes it's hard to get everything, but I'm going to try. So Kane Roberts used that same style of Kramer. I remember that Kane used to play.
Where is that one? I have that one. And
really?
This is the one.
Okay. Oh wow. Well, that's amazing.
Funny he brought it up.
Well, there you go.
This one, right?
Look at that. Yeah. There we go.
Ta-da! And that's a super duper FU tone on there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's got
Chevy,
the full, right?
Chevy orange.
Holy hell, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And you got DiMarzio's in there.
Yeah, same setup
Yeah.
as the Les Paul that we just did.
So is this an old one or a newer one?
No, this is a repro.
Okay, got it.
This was the one that they sent me when we started talking about doing the signature model, and I was like, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
I never played a Kramer. So how do I have a signature model?" "Well, you have to invent it." Okay, well, I like star bodies, so they sent me that, and that was kind of the starting point. So yes, 100% accurate.
And the fact that I didn't realize that it was a glue-in as well, which is really cool. Like for it's
essential because I want all my guitars to sound the same.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like that's the cool thing about the blue one is that it has the probuckers, it has the coil split. Yeah. It has the coil splits.
I love Pelham Blue, so this is cool. Look at that.
Look at here.
It's so cool. It's like
play us in.
So this one is more, and as I mentioned, I got to borrow your pick because I didn't even bring a pick. So it's like,
damn it, it might be.
That's a nice middle.
So, yeah, check this out. Peter Green.
Oh wow! Out of face then. Wow, that is snotty
That's
sounding.
cool,
Yeah,
right?
that's cool. Yeah,
So
that's actually really cool.
this guitar, this is the perfect guitar. It's the perfect guitar because it's got coil taps and the phase selector, pro buckers, 100% custom made to exactly what I wanted. So
Wow.
that's yeah.
That's freaking cool.
That's
cool.
my number one. And this one does. I can kind of tune. I still tune like that.
Let's see what else we got here for super chats.
Very neoclassical metal, my man.
Oh, it's fantastic. That sounds great. Man, some cool guitars.
Yeah, I turned in from like Johnny Thunders into this other guy when I got older. I'm supposed to be the other way. I'm supposed to be like kind of cool now, but now I'm like.
Well, you got appreciation for, I mean, it's all good.
I
It's
love
all guitar.
playing, man. That's it. I just love to play, and I love to write, and I love to create. And the thing is because of the pandemic, I played on so many other people's records and songs and styles. You got to like.
Yeah, it's opened up some doors, right? And,
Yeah.
and I definitely, got into some projects that I wouldn't have otherwise. I got to do some, guesting and stuff on different. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Ethan says he's there in the super duper chat. He says "Slap in the Face" is one of his favorite all-time guitar solos. Thanks for having Tracy on. That's awesome. That's cool. And Randy stories. Did you ever meet Randy? Did you know
No,
Randy?
man. No. It's crazy because I was kind of. You wouldn't think so, but I was a little bit of a sheltered kid in a way, sort of.
Yeah.
I was kind of shy. I had really bad acne. And so when I was a teenager, I just kind of played guitar. I had my band, I had my girlfriend, and my friend was Slash. Like that was basically it.
Okay.
And I get to school. It must have been 9th grade. And he met me at my homeroom, which was electronic shop, of course. I was building a theremin. Hey, have you heard of Randy Rhoads? And I'm like,
Is this Slash you're talking
this is Slash.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you heard of Randy Rhoads? And Slash was always Slash. You heard of Randy Rhoads? I'm like, no. He goes, well, I saw him last night. He's going to be your favorite guitar player. I'm like, okay. Like, whatever.
Right.
And he goes, he's the guy on the side of the Starwood in that Quiet Riot picture, the blonde hair guy. And I'm like, no. I kind of knew what he was talking about.
There was a mural of him?
Yeah, there was the album cover Quiet Riot 2, like the old stuff. Because they played the Starwood all the time. Quiet Riot did. I never saw them. He goes, that's your new favorite guitar player. Because before high school, we used to walk to junior high school every day. And, the rivalry was he was into Joe Perry and I was into Jimmy Page. And Ted Nugent was the common ground. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah. And then I remember the day Wango Tango came out. And he's like, hey, did you get Wango Tango? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. He goes, it sucks. And I'm like, yeah, it does. It sucks. Like that was one conversation. Imagine every day for 3 years walking to school with Slash. It's like, you're kind of like, are you my friend? Are you not my friend? Like, what's our relationship like? It's a very strange thing. But because of that, we both carefully listened to what each other was saying in the end. You know what I mean? And you know, at some point in high school, we both agreed on Michael Schenker. You know,
wow, yeah.
Like, hey, you know, Schenker, that guy, you know, he's the shit. But he's the one that turned me on to Randy Rhoads. And that weekend, I went surfing with my dad, and we were in the truck, and Crazy Train came on the radio, and I instantly knew what it was.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's that guy.
That's got to be the guy Slash, because I instantly loved it.
Yeah.
And when I got back to school on Monday, I was like, yeah, I think you're right. You know, he goes, told you.
You know, it's interesting because the solo that you were just playing, like when you were just riffing right there, I mean, a little bit of Michael Schenker, a little bit of Randy for sure. That's the, you know, when you hear the alien minor or something, kind of in the melody.
It's weird because you know, I played with Rudy for almost 2 years, and he really gave me some insight into the way Randy approached music.
Rudy Sarzo.
Yeah, Rudy Sarzo.
Oh.
And Randy wrote from a major perspective all the time. You know, so even though, you know, we're hearing everything minor, dark, you know, like this, you know, Mr. Crowley's an F, man. It's not in D minor, you know, and shit like that. And we were sitting right where me and you were sitting. And he goes, play an F. And he's playing, you know, the riff under Mr. Crowley. I'm just like, wow, it makes a big difference if you play in that relative major to what you think is minor.
Yeah.
Then you kind of understand Randy's phrasing better, you know, because he's playing, you know, this many frets apart a lot. You know, it's not just in that, you know, minor box, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he really approached things, I guess, in the same way that like Ritchie Blackmore did, you know, from this classical major key, and everything is a mode,
right? As
opposed to, hey, I'm playing blues, man, and this is minor and this is major. You know, that's the way those guys really approach it. And they really stick out, those two guys, and Schenker in a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
And it's because it depends on how you learned music. You know, if you grew up learning on a piano, then the chances are when you transfer to guitar and you want to play dark, you're not really necessarily thinking, you know, oh, I'm going to play A minor. You're thinking, oh, what's the Aeolian mode in C? You know, okay, cool, I'm here. You know what I mean? It's like, it's such a like kind of like revelation.
Yeah, to me, it's like a little more European approach to when I think about guitar players. Like some of my favorite guitar players, Randy was the one kind of guy that sort of blew the doors open, at least initially, I think, for the modal thing.
Well, he glued it together, didn't he?
If for an American guitar player,
yeah.
You know, yeah, he did. Because occasionally he would, you know, obviously there's the forays into pentatonic stuff, blues, but with his, the modal kind of thing. And when I think of guys that did that on guitar players like John Sykes or you know, or Schenker, you know, for sure.
Well, I think it's interesting because you have, you know, Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, right? Sorry to leave Clapton out, guys. He's just not my guy. But Beck and Page, you know, heavy rockabilly blues influence, right?
Sure.
And, you know, somehow they were able to break into those modes sometimes, you know, especially Beck, you know, like you could tell he was always learning, you know, like you could tell like, I'm doing this. And then Rudy Sarzo pointed out to me, if you watched Hendrix at Woodstock, that he was starting to do these things that were more modal, you know, expanding.
Wow.
And he's right. You know, if you go back and watch it, you're gonna be like, oh, that's what he was trying to do, you know, because it got like kind of weird, like they're like, oh, but that's what it is. And it's like, so that's why for me, like starting out with Jimmy Page at like 6 years old, totally digging Eddie Van Halen, Tony Iommi, all the guys you're supposed to like. And then Randy Rhoads comes out. And I'm like, and Slash, this is what Slash said to me. He goes, he plays like this, like you. He doesn't play like this, like me. And I was like, and it kind of dawned on me. I go, well, you play like this too. He goes, no, but you do this thing. So fucking snotty. And so anyways, but yeah, that was kind of the thing, was this, this ability to connect. So like if you're playing an E minor, just play a big gigantic G major scale.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's really the only way I can describe it. And it does. Like when you watch me play, it looks like I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I'm covering a lot of ground. But it's the same pattern, octave to octave, basically. very classical.
Well, like you say, tying the neck together too, as opposed to the box thing,
right?
Playing in the one position,
exactly.
You know, yeah. Let's see here. We got Michael there in the super chat, and he's wondering if you got any cool stories about recording Cocked and Loaded.
I got stung by a bee. I do remember that. I remember that a lot. Yeah, I mean, Cocked and Loaded. That record took like a year, to do, and we recorded all the basic tracks at 1-on-1 Studios, which is on Lancashire. I don't know what it is now. It's the same place Metallica, right after we were in there, track drums for the Black Album.
Right.
Mike Tatchy was our second engineer. Tom Worman was a producer. We started there in the summer. I was riding a Kawasaki 500 Enduro over Laurel Canyon to the studio every day in like swim trunks, lipstick on, like super glam, weird skater guy.
That's awesome.
And then, then you ride home at midnight and it's freezing cold. And I never learned my lesson either. I was like 22 years old. Like,
I'll be fine later. I'll be fine. Yeah. Cold as hell.
And yeah, it was freezing. And, that was the time of watching people do lots of drugs and watching them just become total waste of space. And,
wow. Yeah.
And, but, when you're that young, when I was that young, I was very serious, and very, almost authoritarian, like I don't give a fuck who you think you are. It's my band and this is how we're doing things. And so I fought with everybody all the time. But it was my band and it's still my band. And, I finally got it right. It took a long time, but I got it. But Cocked and Loaded was a magic. We had Cheap Trick came down and sang, and Ted Nugent came down and sang on the record. And those were the guys that we had toured with on the first album before Cocked and Loaded. So, Tom Worman had produced both of those bands as well. So, had a lot of that kind of like camaraderie then. And, it was a good experience. It was our biggest record too, so.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of good memories from Cocked and Loaded.
Yeah. Yeah. You make me think about those times. I mean, the fact that you came up in LA during those times, and you're right. I mean, there's a lot of casualties, right? Of
bro. Yeah. I love when people like TRACII Guns, just sloppy, junky guitars. It's like, if you only knew, man, like if you only knew,
right.
All I did, my dad was an alcoholic. My mom had her own problems with whatever she was having problems with. Every musician I knew was falling for something, you know what I mean? Whether it was alcohol, blow, heroin, speed. And it just scared the shit out of me. Like, like I'm not going to be like you people, like no matter what, I'm not going to be like you. I'm not going to if I'm going to be depressed, I'm going to be depressed. And if I get that depressed, I'm going to go to a doctor, but man, I mean, I got dead friends that I loved, and the worst part is later, I have the soft spot for people that went through that, or are still going through that.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, hey man, it's cool. Let's hang out, blah, blah. They fuck me every time, every fucking time, man. It's just like, you asshole, I just really like people and I don't want to believe that they have problems but they do. Everybody's got a different problem and including myself, of course,
LA's a tough town that way too, right? I mean, it's like, I always grew up in Canada. I mean, giving people the benefit of the doubt. And there was a certain degree of I guess naive there where I got here and then I remember being in my mid-20s and then meeting some people where it was like, I don't think I have the capacity to deal with this situation. Like I'm getting in over my head.
That's right.
And I feel like I'm getting messed with and, by people, when it was like, I'm out of my league when it comes to.
Well, that's why I left Guns N' Roses. It was exactly the scenario that you're painting right now.
Wow.
When it got to that point where the people that I were best friends with were changing that much, that quick. And I was like 5 years younger than the rest of the guys in the band. I wasn't ready to go there, man.
Wow.
like I love you guys, but you're scaring the shit out of me.
Where you just saw it, like you're not the guy I remember from a few months
ago.
That's
right. And it really caused separation to the point where, for the first 6 months after Duff joined, let's say, right, because then we got Adler. we were like this unit. You know,
Yeah.
we were like you're supposed to be. You know, man, we did everything together. We, you know, together all the time. But then we got popular really fast, and everybody separated. You know what I mean? Like we weren't. The only time we were getting together was rehearsal and at shows.
Mm-hmm.
And Axel and I were living together, but I didn't see him. Like he was like doing some stuff. And, you know, the last 2 gigs I did with him were just like, everybody was just like, you know, we weren't
Friends.
this family. It got really weird.
Yeah.
But it was that. It's like one guy's doing one thing, one guy's doing something else. You know, one guy's being passive. You know, one guy's like ignoring it. You know, and then me, the young guy, just be going, "What the hell's going on here?" You know, and nobody had an answer, and so I just stopped going to rehearsal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But same scenario.
Yeah.
It's just like this is out of my league.
Feels toxic, and you don't know like what is even happening. Yeah. I remember. Yeah, and the casualties of that period. I mean, I remember. So I didn't get here till the 90s, but in 90, I can remember because soon after, of course, you know, grunge happened in LA. Kind of. I mean, I've told the story before, so I won't bore people with it. But I can remember the first time I hit like the Strip on a Friday night in mid '92 or maybe early '93. Used to seeing it packed on a Friday, Saturday,
right,
with just people flying and, you know, giving out flyers.
Yeah, it was still
bands.
going. It was still going.
Yeah, totally. Like around then. And then one day I drove up there on a Friday night. I drove down. There was nobody there. It was just like a ghost town. I was like, oh my God, this is over. Like this is, and I remember that at least for a period of time that happened, you know? And then I remember seeing I remember seeing people kind of like casualties of that period that were not like, that scared the shit out. Like seeing, you know, that had been too much into drinking and too much whatever drugs they were doing, too much into, and they didn't have like any kind of like fall back anything. And I remember seeing like a lot of homeless dudes that looked like they were part of the metal scene. You know, it freaked me out, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I got to make sure I don't.
That's right.
It scared the shit out of me.
You know,
stay straight.
It's like the fallback thing. It's true. It's like, I mean, there's still guys I see at the Rainbow. You know, I go once a year, and I still see guys hanging out. They're nice. They're nice guys, you know. But they always tell the story. Man, I wrote the song. You got to hear it. You know, and it's like, hey, I wrote the song too. You got to hear it. Like, you want to hear my song as much as I want to hear your song. You know what I mean? Like nobody gives a shit. And it's not being snotty. It's everybody has a window of opportunity to live a certain lifestyle. And, you know, from till 93, you know, starting in 1977, LA had a lifestyle, you know, surrounding the music scene, you know, whether it was Jackson Browne and the Eagles, Linda Ronstadt, Motley Crue, it doesn't matter because we all had the same lifestyle, you know, and then it ended, you know what I mean? And
at least for a minute.
I mean, when I say it ended, I mean, the sort of freedom. See, we all shared a freedom that still hasn't come back. There was a musical freedom within a lifestyle where, you know, free love was still a thing.
Sure.
You know, there was still a certain element of a hippie mentality all the way, you know, until 92, you know.
That's really interesting, even through the kind of hard rock scene.
Yeah.
Transitioning from Eagles, Jackson Browne to Joni Mitchell and stuff into that scene.
Even though we had more distortion and these guys had different hair. Yeah. Everybody still had the same values, you know what I mean? As far as life. And don't for a second think that hippie men in the 60s all the way to the early 70s weren't macho. They were, you know what I mean? So they're, you know, men were always kind of dicks, you know, but that's just the way it was. And it was acceptable and it was shitty, no doubt, but it was fun. Everybody had fun. Everybody got hurt the same. Men got their feelings hurt just as women, you know, like a lot of shit. But it was fun. And in a way, I think Nikki Sixx said once, it is, you know, something about being dangerously safe or, you know, safe danger or something like that. But then AIDS happened. And then when AIDS really hit home in West Hollywood, that's what took the whole mentality down. We couldn't write sex action again. You know, we couldn't,
right.
you know, nobody could, you know, you couldn't do that, because now people were dying from having sex, and it wasn't just gay people, you know, it was straight people, it was drug addicts, it was anybody that came in contact with that virus would die. So that's what killed the mentality. You know, it killed the free love spirit of like, yeah, I'm just going to go to this orgy, man. I'll see you in an hour. You know, like that was over. You know, there was no more sniffing cocaine off women's buttholes. You know, that was done. You know what I mean? Like that was a no.
Right.
And I knew it was over in like '93. A guy from a Canadian band had said in an interview, young guy, he said, yeah, it's great. I was on a tour bus and this girl came on. And I swear she wanted to have sex with me. Like, yeah, dude. That's how it works. You know? But by then,
right,
it was not okay. You know, it wasn't safe.
I see.
There's real danger involved in sleeping with a groupie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sharing a needle. You know, I mean, look at Eazy-E. You know, I think he was the first needle share big star to die from AIDS. You know what I mean? So more than grunge music or anything, I think grunge lyrically, whatever you want to call it, lyrically was more of a reality check. You know, not so much about depression, but the state of the end of sexual freedom, and that, you know, drugs and this are like way cooler than sex. You know what I mean?
Well, and you certainly saw I can remember the time when there was no, like, really no sex or sex imagery or whatever, that kind of in music for a long period of time, until I remember this Monster Magnet video in the late 90s. It was like 97, 98. It was like, wait a minute, that's the first time I've seen like any gyrating girls
something fun
in a rock video. For like at least
I think Rob Zombie did too. But basically, they were later. You know, there was a long dry period. And then I think hip hop culture really embraced the sexual revolution at that point. You know, they're like, hey, okay, you motherfuckers are too scared to sing about having fun. We're going to do it.
It was more, it was like the original. Really, there was a lot of rock and roll in the you know, the
OG hip hop and rap music. Absolutely, you know, a lot of samples. John Bonham is hip hop.
It's pretty interesting. It's Chris says we should hit a couple of. That was great though. Thanks for taking me through that, because I've never thought about that in quite that way, about that period in LA.
Well, I think because as musicians that don't grow up here, you have a perception, you know, of what makes the most sense, you know, and growing up here, because remember, before I was a professional musician playing in LA, my parents' friends were professional musicians growing up in LA. So I always grew up in whatever the music scene is here, which is way more cultural than just music. So it had more to do with culture.
Oh, we got a visitor here.
Hey, Oscar, what are you doing?
Wow. Cute kitty down here. Let's see. Talk a whole bunch. This is Chris Quinn. Sorry. Talk a whole bunch Shanker and playing with him. Pete needs to get more hip to Shanker. As good as EVH. Hey, I totally agree. You're right. I'm not as tuned into Shanker, and probably never have been, as I am to Eddie, but I've got this real appreciation for Michael. And every time
You will be after today, because I'm going to give you the record to listen to.
Oh, dude. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, this is education.
I made a record with Shanker. I think he's talking about.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We had a band called Contraband.
That's right. Okay. I didn't realize that was with Michael. Like that. Okay, so can you tell us about that experience? God, I'm sorry that I'm not.
No, it's more. Yeah, dude, my history's insane. We had the same management, Alan Kovac. He started a new label. He hired who he felt were his top picks to play on the record, his top writers that he was managing to write the record, and a couple covers. And so it was me and Shanker, and I respected Shanker. And I didn't play any of his licks. Record, you know, it was one of those things like, I kind of play like this guy, you know? So I went straight blues, Stratocaster through a Bassman.
Amazing.
He played the V through a Marshall. And I like the record a lot more now than I did then. But it's a straight ahead 80s rock album.
I can't believe I haven't listened to this record. I'm sorry. I feel like an idiot for not.
It's got cool stuff on it.
Okay, I'm gonna check out this album for sure. That's I should know. First Led Zepp song you learned as a kid, James would like to know.
Me?
Yeah. First,
wow.
You remember?
That's the reason I play guitar.
Yeah.
And we better get this Jimmy Page Les Paul out, right?
You've been doing on IG some of your favorite, like my second favorite riff.
Right.
Right.
And I will never decide on a first or, you know.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Yeah.
You can't say what my first favorite is.
Yeah.
But so I'm 6 years old. The tone just right.
Yes.
And then that's the Knebworth version. Whole lot of love.
That guitar sounds damn good.
Right? This one.
So this guitar, you guys got to check this out because recently, I know you just put the super distortion in the PAF.
Right.
The DiMarzio.
Exactly. DiMarzio. So
yeah.
So this is my 2019. This is my workhorse guitar. This is a 2019 60 spec. It just means it's got the slimmer neck than the 50 style.
Okay.
And it came with, like a stock. I forgot exactly what they call the pickups, but they're not burst buckers or pro buckers. It's a specific kind of Les Paul standard 60s wired pickup.
Okay.
Which are cool. And I liked them. They were a little too low output for me, which is weird because I like the same specs you like generally.
PAF,
kind of PAF, let the guitar do its thing.
Yeah.
And so I had some Dirty Fingers.
Okay.
That we found down, in his area, in his wood, somewhere. So we switched it out, put the Dirty Fingers in. They're okay. I was like, okay, cool. And then I just saw a picture of my Les Paul from when I was 12. and I had this configuration in it. I mean, they didn't make this PAF yet, but they added the super distortions. And the reason why I put the super distortion in my first Les Paul is because Randy Rhoads had one in his V. And I was like, I got one, it's earlier. And so the story with the PAF 59, which is this pickup, is about 3 years ago, a friend of mine, Greg Worth, who's an amazing engineer, hooked me up with Larry DiMarzio.
Okay. And
after talking to Larry, I was on tour too. So I was like this in my bunk having conversation with Larry DiMarzio. So you really want a real 50? I go, yeah, man, I just that worn out Alnico 5, after 50 years, I gotta have that. And Larry goes, all right, I'll just take the pickups out of my burst. I'll just copy them. I'm like, yeah, just do that. And he sent me 20 sets.
Oh wow.
This is what you wanted here, kind of a thing, right on. So they are awesome. If you just want a set of PAFs, man, that sound like what you think they sound like, these are them.
So is this similar to his 36th anniversary? Is that what he called it?
Well, the 36. This is a 36th anniversary.
Okay.
Right here. And they are actually hotter than what you and I like.
Oh.
And I know it because anytime I put this guitar on with this rig, it feeds back.
Okay.
A good feedback, like a ooh, not a squeal. So they're hotter. And that was a conversation. I was like, well, the 36, because he was like, why don't you just use a 36? And I'm like, well, when I put them in the neck, they don't sound like a PAF. They kind of go underwater, I need more clarity. And he's so open-minded. He's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm just going to do this,
Yeah.
Did it. So a lot of my guitars for a while, my green one there, which people can't see, that has two PAF 59s in it.
Okay.
And then that white chub tones, that's a super distortion.
Okay.
So that's what I really like from Larry. The super distortion, the first one, the basic one, is just so good, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the neck, the PA 59, like I explained in the thing, is you have that middle. The middle position.
It's got the twang.
It's just right.
Opens up.
Yeah. Because this is just hotter enough to overtake this, so you don't find yourself turning the neck down. Like, you know how you do that with Les Paul? You're like,
yes.
It's kind of underwater, so you back that off, then you get the twang. This set, you don't have to. It's just it's just right. So
yeah,
I'm going to leave these pickups in this guitar. These are the pickups in this guitar. And anybody interested in this guitar, this is a retail $2,500 brand new Les Paul,
like the 60
Yeah.
Regular Gibson USA version.
Yeah. This is like, you're not, you could spend a lot more money on some of the other Les Pauls, reissues and stuff like that. This is just as good. It's just, it's not as custom. It's just stock. It's awesome.
That's cool.
I use it a lot.
The super distortion thing is interesting because I've come back around to realizing I spent most of my guitar playing life thinking like I'm not a ceramic magnet guy. And then I started to, it was the search for Van Halen one tone and trying to figure out what a special sound that is and how different. And then I came to realize the magic of that pickup into a loud Marshall that's, and how it has this kind of full range distortion sound, whereas an Alnico, a hotter Alnico pickup has this more pointed sound in the mids, and it can be a little, and super distortion has this beautiful spread without too much push. It's
That's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
It gives you, it doesn't make it louder. It makes it pushes kind of this nice mid frequency.
Yeah.
And the bottom with the tiniest mid scoop, where it's just like, it's like, wow, that's really nice, Yeah. And I really forgot because I always use them in my hot rod guitars, It's just like, if I'm going to play Eddie style, got to be a super distortion. That's it, period.
Right.
But in a Les Paul, man, it's just like, oof.
Yeah, it can be a really cool thing.
Yeah, and believe it or not, it's not as hot as this 36th anniversary PAF. So,
I think there's something to the thing with it, like I say, like that pointed, because the hotter you wind a pickup, and certainly with the Alnico 5, there's something that happens with a resonant peak, like in the upper end.
That's right.
And you can measure it and see that peak move. The hotter you go, it'll go down more and more and more, which is why a JB at like 14 something K has that real point. It's great for one thing.
Yeah, it is. And I used to use those back in the day.
Me too. Yeah, and I liked it, but it won't do the clean. Like that.
No, so that's the problem.
Middle position thing that you just did.
Yeah, that was always a problem because when I had the BC Rich Gunslinger, and the whole idea was a single pickup guitar, but all mine had 2 pickups in them because I play Les Pauls. I mean, that's at the end of the day.
Sure.
So all my Gunslingers had 2 pickups, and they were started with 2 JBs, and then it went to the JB and the Duncan PAF.
Yeah.
I could never get it clean. Never, because I was running this pedal through the 800s. You know what I mean?
Which is a classic sound.
Yeah, we used to call this here. This is the $70 Marshall mod.
Right. Yeah,
right
totally.
Here. You didn't need to take your amp in. You just needed to buy one of these.
Yeah.
So with this, turn it off, through an 800, and the JB is too much. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, cool rhythm sound, but like couldn't get like a pristine, nice Stairway to Heaven-y kind of thing.
Okay.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Those pedals are great. That is a great sound too. It's because it lops off just enough low end to do an 800 and gives you the gain.
Oh.
And yeah, it is a great.
Especially this is the Japanese made one this is the Taiwan one. The original 80, the ones made in Japan were a little bit nicer sounding. These are still awesome, but there's
a two-knob, the real early one too, which really has no bass, but into the right Marshall, it can be awesome.
Really good. I love these.
Keeps it tight.
It's funny. Roland and Boss they're always the biggest.
Yeah,
but they seem to be under the radar somehow. It's like so strange, but just to let people know about that. What is that amp? The Katana?
Oh yeah,
I have one in Denmark.
They're good amps, right?
Fuck me, man. Jeez. Yeah, I have this 100-watt 112 combo.
Oh, the bigger one. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Brown sound delay. My sound like that. As loud as 2 full stacks. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I have to give props where they're due. That amplifier is incredible.
And I know quite a few people that feel that way about the Katana, where they're like other amp builders that make fancy tube amps and all that. They're like, I got one of these, and it's damn good for because they're not. It's even the little guys for a couple $100.
Like, that's a crazy thing.
So Jeff's asking about in the super chat there about which album was I saying I should check out. It's not a UFO record; it's your record with a contraband.
No. I want you to hear "Stranger Than the Night," the live UFO album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the introduction to Schenker that makes you go, holy shit.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And then
I love this idea.
So the most difficult thing about Schenker is if you get into the studio albums first, there's not enough guitar. Like his tone is small. It's like I grew up on Eddie Van Halen, so it's hard to absorb this sound. But when you hear the live record first, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's insane. And then you hear the studio versions. Right. You totally get it. You're like, because Schenker was like 16, 17 years old, 18 years old when they made all those early UFO records. He was really young, straight into, 4-input Marshall, so in the studio, it sounds straight at, there's not much grease there.
A similar thing happened with me with Randy, to be honest, because the sound of the guitars on the records, like it's popular opinion, unpopular, whatever, but it's not my favorite, But then when I saw like that After Hours video, and you're like, holy shit, that sounds amazing. Right. I was more sucked into the playing then, just because of that sound. It was like it was less studioed out or whatever.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because a friend of mine, when I was really young, when I was about 18, who's a real Schenker fan. This guy, Dave Jagos, my singer Mike Jagos, his brother at the time. Yeah. And he knew that I was really getting into Randy. And he said, he goes, I just can't get into it because it has like a distortion pedal sound. And I was like, and these guys are so into Schenker, who had such a pure Marshall tone that it took me years to realize what he meant. And then, Randy had more of a top end, distortion plus, kind of thing going on, triple tracked, which adds high end. So that's, either you liked it or you didn't, but live being the one man show. Wow. Again, and I grew up on live records. So, I'm all about that real emotion and playing live. And that's what gets me excited.
Yeah, for sure. The magic era of the live album when it was actually could be like, Frank Frampton Comes Alive or Kiss Alive too, or like the defining records of artists' careers that kind of help put them. That's right. That's not really a thing anymore, which is a bummer.
Well, nothing's really a thing anymore.
Nothing's a thing right now. Live isn't a thing right now.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's just like Lauren, my buddy Lauren's there in the chat, and he says, I sometimes I take pictures, which you guys will see me do, of if a chat's going to disappear, so I don't miss your questions. So I do try here. Lauren says, hey, y'all, spend $1K less on the guitar and spend $100 on a great setup and maybe $200 on pickups and maybe get something better. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, if you've got an expensive guitar and
so do you want to grab the 59 Epiphone?
Well, that's cool. Let's check out
So read me back what he's saying.
Well, Lauren's saying, like, rather than have an expensive guitar, like, what if you've got a less expensive guitar, but you spend money on a great tech setting it up? Like, I find often I got to get it, even from a nice Gibson or something. For me, I got to get the nut cut again.
That's right.
Or things like that. And then it transforms the playability.
Yeah. The difference, though, and we're going to do it right now because I have top of the line Epiphone Les Paul. Right?
The greatest thing ever.
And the thing about Epiphone is I don't think you can spend more than $1,000, maybe $1,100 on here. Check this out.
Okay.
So this is a 59 limited edition Epiphone version of a 59 Les Paul. And to your point, yes, I could play this guitar only for the rest of my life and be happy. It's amazing. It's great. It's probably $1,000.
It does feel good. The neck is.
It's good, right?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me on the neck of my old '57 historic.
Yeah,
like it's a bigger and round. Yeah, it's real full.
You can plug it in. You can hear it. It's got PAFs.
Okay, let's do it. Keep turning down the mic. I got a mic here at the volume, and I know it'll clip the mic if I don't turn it down. So I just trying to be cognizant if you hear any distortion. Yeah.
Right? Like you just
No, it plays great.
ride it home. Like, blah, blah, blah.
So you
But the thing is, there's a reason why this guitar is $2,500 and why this one's $1,200. You know, and you can feel that difference. You know, you can. The finish is different. The kind of the weight distribution, the electronics.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to really put your finger on. Yeah. However, that being said, yes, I could play this guitar for the rest of my life, be totally happy, not missing my super, top of the line guitars. I mean, it's up to you, of course. I mean, look at Jack White. He plays a National and a Eddie Van Halen model, and you play whatever.
I find that so interesting about him that he kind of changed his. I loved when he went and did the Eddie guitar, because it's like that would be the last thing I would think he would do, and that's what I want Jack White to do. The last thing I think that what I mean. Like
that's right.
He's not afraid to completely do something different. I'm a big Jack White fan.
Oh, me too.
He's like the real deal rock and roll.
He's funny.
Jesse says, great job on getting quality guests. Thanks. Tracy, seeing you in Syracuse, New York, man, you were slaying the dragon.
Better than chasing the dragon.
I remember having a great gig in Syracuse.
Syracuse was awesome.
It was like crazy. It was a rock and roll. It was with Cornell, and it was us in Deftones.
Wow.
And it was I remember a lot of Army dudes there, and just a lot of crowd surfing, a crazy day. It was
good
fun.
Times. Yeah, I mean,
Bad Religion they played.
Well, what a mix of artists. Yeah, that'll draw a good crowd.
It was a heavy rock day. Yeah, it was bitching. It was great. I remember. A lot of fun.
But I mean, for people that want, a great Les Paul and can't spend $2,500, it's like, right here, man, right here, you get $900 together, $1,000 together.
Yep.
Get one of these, have it set up, and you're done.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a really good feeling guitar. A setup is so important, and
it is.
The nut is, to me, especially on a guitar where if you've got any kind of fanning of the strings, it's got to be cut just right. And when it is, it's great.
You're good. You're good to go.
Yeah.
So that kind of answers that question. And it's like my favorite, because Fenders are cheap guitars anyways. I mean, it's rare that I've ever spent over $1,000 on an American Strat or Tele, I mean, some relics maybe I have, but for me, I can buy, I could go into Guitar Center right now, pick out, a $200, $250 Telecaster, wherever they're made. I don't care.
Yeah.
Set it up. It feels just like the other Telecaster I have. I can't tell the difference between, because if you take the time to get the frets right on the edges and everything like that and smooth and kind of get it worn in a little bit, there's not much difference. There just isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, when you're dealing with a bolt-on kind of style, but a set neck is a different kind of story, I think.
It's a more difficult guitar for sure.
Yeah.
You can't take the neck off and shim it and do these things that if it's and there's I think it's always been a more difficult guitar to make, and it's a little picky. I feel like you can order a bolt-on neck guitar maybe over the from sight unseen, and be I know I'm going to be able to get the guitar set
that's
up.
right,
it's going to be cool. But with a Les Paul, or I get a little
you got to touch it. So that's the guitar everybody wants me to do the signature for.
This is wild, man.
It's just an R9, that custom R9.
It's seen some
and this is a 36th anniversary, and this is a PA 59. We cut this recently, so that's not even active in the middle.
Oh, okay.
So, but this is what people would call it. This is a real guitar.
I can hear the sound of the neck pickup. This DiMarzio?
Yeah.
It sounds great. Right away, I just hear it's got this great woody kind of
it's perfect.
It's really cool.
Yeah, you know, so this is probably, I don't know, $7,500 when it was new.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels special, you know. I mean, it does, but I gotta tell you, you know, I got it when it was newish, and I didn't like it. You know, it took me a long time to get the neck adjusted right, to get it set up, to get the pickups that work the best in there. You know, it is a Henry Years Gibson though, so you know, there's a lot to be said for that. You know, the old owners,
right?
But this is as close as I'll ever get to a real 59 Les Paul.
So when did you get this guitar?
I got it in 2016.
Oh, okay.
And
not too long ago.
It was all nice, and then I had my friend Vince do all this stuff to it, and then over the last couple of years, it just added to it, made it uglier and uglier and uglier.
Did it have 3 pickups when you got it?
Yeah, it did. It was it was a custom shop, R9, cool. And it was I want to say he got it from a place in Salt Lake City. I'm not sure if he got this guitar from there, but I'm pretty sure he did. And then Vince is a guy, one of my best friends in Vegas, and he done a lot of guitar stuff for me. So anyways,
cool.
he basically put this together.
Who else we got here? Let's see. Let's see here. Donnie EP says that she loves this guitar. Pretty fun, right? So happy to see Pete playing on a Sunday, says Doug. Thanks, man. It's fun to play. You know, I've been thinking about playing more on the Sunday shows, by the way. That's it, because generally I'm sitting there answering a lot of questions, doing, you know, but you know, I've been thinking about getting off my lazy ass and getting the setup a little together more so that I can play on Sundays a little bit more. Just looking through the questions here. Who's it? What's Todd says he's got a 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Special in TV yellow, and it rocks. Yeah, they make some great guitars. I love that new Jared James Nichols.
Oh, the gold one.
The gold one with the P90, right?
Yeah. So that's
like a
grab the black guitar.
You got something. You got guitars buried all over this place.
And then there's the bass
coming out of the.
Yeah, I got a lot of shit.
I want to ask you about your amps too, because you got all kinds of cool.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sell all my amps.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't.
Not using them?
I don't use them, man.
You got your setup you like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this one's badass. I got all the good stuff. So, okay, so this is the beginning of the Jared guitar.
Oh.
It's a 55.
This is cool.
55 Epiphone.
It's worth it. You have the cats around.
What Jared did is he just took out the pickup.
Right.
Actually, I think he even has a Les Paul, like a 55 Les Paul that he took the thing out of, and that's where the Epiphone came from.
Okay.
So the new, he calls it Gold Glory, right, is like the gold version of that single pickup. But this was the original guitar, and it sounds so good.
Yeah, snotty with the
right?
Yeah, with the P9.
It just sounds so cool.
It's cool, man.
Big ass neck. Yeah, that huge neck, and that's something that's
it is big.
Kind of the thing with Jared's guitars. You know, they have this neck.
Oh, do they?
And I mean, you know, he's a big guy.
He's a big guy, right?
You know, I mean, he plays with his fingers only, so it's like he just got it so dialed. Like if you watch him, if you notice Jared and his things, he always plays the guitar like this. It's like he's so big.
Yeah, he's kind of like
he's like yeah, I got this little guitar here. I was kind of doing this thing. He's amazing.
He's a really great player. A lot of feel. I love it.
Best guy.
Look at this. Is great. I gotta take a picture of this scene right now. We need a photo. Ta-da. There we go. That's good. A family photo. I like it.
There's more. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's like there's guitars all over this. There's a double neck over there, and there's all kinds of stuff, right?
Well, that's why I make records. I gotta have anything I'm ever gonna need, right? I mean, that's the idea.
Lauren says, "Sell the amps and get a synergy." There's this system of preamps called Synergy.
Oh, like, yeah. Steve Vai told me about those.
That's right. Steve's using them. Yeah.
Is that the one no one has?
This is the TRACII Guns model Moore.
That's right.
And what this is the model of this amp.
Here, I'll move the camera. Folks can see over there. Okay, there we go.
So if you want my 50-watt Plexi, it's number 019 UK Gold Plexi from Moore. And it sounds exactly like it.
Does it?
Yeah.
That
I have
sounds...
2 of them. You can have one.
So this is... You don't have to give me this.
I have 2 of them. I know somebody there. I could probably get another one.
She loves you.
Well, this is fun. You're going to dig that. Because it's a 2... It's like...
Well, thank you.
It's kind of like how this is set up, like, clean and dirty.
Oh, right.
50-watt Plexi, small box.
So it's got a button on it that says channel cab. So it's got built-in cab.
Yeah.
Cab sim and channel switch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Really cool little pedal.
Oh, I'd love to try it out.
If you can.
Cool.
Take it home.
You're gonna.
This fella's too kind.
You're getting stuff.
I get to call my wife when you leave. Go, hey, I got rid of some stuff.
And this, this is going to be a two-way street because you come to my scene one of these days, and we're gonna have gift exchange.
Hey,
but
grilled cheese and pizza, pasta, I'm good.
TRACII gifted. Well, the camera's over here. TRACII gifted me that as well, which is an old Distortion Plus. So we were talking about this earlier. This used to be something you used a lot. Right? Yeah,
that was before the $70 mod came out. We had these, and so the thing is if you had like a JMP Marshall or like the early JCM 800, that was the $100 mod. Those were always $100, even in the 70s.
Instead of the $50.
Yeah, they were $100.
Right.
So that was first. That's what Randy Rhoads used. He had the Distortion Plus 2, which is the same thing. It's just more knobs. And that's all. That was the good stuff. That was it. It gave you that sound. It gave you the kind of that Eddie Van Halen thing. So with an 800, you kind of which one is it plugged in? The Jerry. Okay, so like if you have an 800, you get right. It's almost there, but then you turn on the $50 mod. It gives it that hair on the string.
Yeah.
So the Distortion Plus did that better than anything else with the JMP or an 800.
Okay.
For sure. And because we were also macho back then, we all had to have 100-watt amps. I'm not playing out of a 50-watt amplifier kind of a thing. But we were dumb because the 50-watt Marshalls distorted quicker than the 100 watts.
Sure.
So if we were smart, we would have been, oh, yeah, look, I turned this up and it's furry. Oh, yeah.
I've been going back and forth about this with Dave Friedman the last few days. And I've got at my studio, I've got a setup where I can switch between amps.
Yeah.
And my 50 for that sound, for the dimed on 10 thing and everything, there's just something with the 50 where, I was trying different amps yesterday. I was just realizing that it's like you say, the 50 gives it up sooner, but there's just something about them that has this magic. It still sounds tight, like even when I've got it on 10. I've just got that amp dialed in. It's so good. It's a 72.
Well, it's like it's the difference between Jimmy Page and Joe Walsh, because Jimmy Page played like 100 or 200-watt live, whichever one.
Right.
Sometimes he used that 200-watt, but he used the KT88 tubes, a very specific thing.
Yeah.
Joe Walsh played out of 50-watt small boxes or JTM 45s.
Right.
So Walsh's tone in James Gang was arguably a little bit cooler than Page's in a lot of ways.
I would say that's true.
A little more sustained.
Yeah.
A little groovier, maybe. Like there's something mushier about
glassier.
It. I own a Friedman.
They're glassier.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's a great pedal.
This is the greatest preamp pedal ever fucking made, period. End of story.
Dave will love
I
that.
hate to be that blunt, but
It's true.
Yeah. If you have just a power amp or a Fender Twin or something, and you want a Friedman, just go buy this.
They are really, really good. Right?
They're ridiculous. I love this.
Original BEOD, which, I remember I made a video of that when it first came out. It was like, I was like, okay, this is probably one of the best distortion sounds I've ever heard.
Ever.
Out of an amp or an amp or a pedal or anything.
It's great. Oh,
yeah.
Wait, we're doing the amps really quick.
Oh, those are great.
Plug this into any clean amp, you have a Marshall.
Yeah.
Period. But these are hard to find now.
I saw one. Okay, hot tip. There's one on Reverb right now, and it's not too expensive.
Yeah,
unless it's gone already. But
it's the original Governor.
the Governor, late 80s, early 90s.
He loves the Governor.
Yeah.
Kaz
I
Leader,
dig him.
King of Stone. It's like a range master and a tone bender.
No shit.
Yeah, fucking unbelievable.
I've never seen that.
Albert Kaz Leader. Yeah, he makes the weirdest stuff.
A king of, or a range master and a tone bender in one pedal. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I don't know about this pedal. Okay, everybody check that out.
And then one more guy is Mark Smirkov. He's SVI Sound. He makes.
By the way, is the focus good? Because it's been. I hope it's been. I never checked it at the beginning, so sorry if we were out of focus. I think we were pretty good.
So Buddy makes like these little. Check this out. This is a 50-watt power amp.
No shit.
Stereo. Yeah, so you just plug like any one of these preamps in.
Okay.
Come out into 2 speakers, and you got 50 watts aside. Or yeah, 50 watts aside.
I love this whole like the knobs.
With the little knobs and the VU meters and stuff like that.
That is cool.
So there's like some kind of unknown guys that are awesome.
You got a lot of toys.
Replicator, tape
those
delay.
are great. I remember those.
Denmark.
Denmark. Yeah. What's that? They were called T-Rex, right?
T-Rex. I don't know what's going on with them right now, though.
Yeah, they kind of like maybe not around anymore or are. Or...
Well, Gator was distributing them, and then that deal stopped. So I don't know.
Okay.
And I don't think they're in Aarhus, anyways. I think they were in Copenhagen or something. So
they made a pedal called the start with an R. It's a tape delay pedal. I loved it. It was orange.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Replex or somebody out there, somebody in the chat will know.
Right here, Replicator.
Replicator, is that it? No, but it looks it's
bigger or smaller?
It's smaller. It's a little orange, and it's not a true tape. This is a true tape, which is insane. That's like, they made a tape delay that's actually not the size of an Echoplex. It's crazy.
It works. So what I do, so like if I feel like using a real amp,
replicant, if somebody says, maybe.
I use like if I use a Marshall, this thing sounds crazy. But if I use a real amp and I got to use a delay, I always run this through the loop.
Okay.
And that gives me that kind of warbly, modulated delay sound.
Sure.
That, and then this is.
What's that guy?
This is the
TC,
right? Guy.
Those are good too.
They're great. This one in particular, because the later models, you can only use one delay at a time.
Yeah.
This one, you can use all 3 delays at the same time.
Oh, really?
Like
so you can do multi-tap kind of stuff. That's cool.
I love delays. They're just
Me too. It's like
so awesome.
Distortion comes first or overdrive,
right?
And then your echo.
So, wait. Yeah, you were saying if you had to have one pedal.
Tuner.
You said a tuner.
Well, I mean,
Keith Richards would disagree.
Yeah, but he could make it work. Or Jeff Beck, he could just bend in tune.
Oh God, Jeff Beck is amazing.
Who's Jeff Beck? Except for Jeff Beck. So
I can't even tune with a tuner. Ask him.
He can tune.
It's always in tune when I'm in tune, but then I start playing and it's out of tune.
Well,
I mean, and I know how to tune. It's just like I don't give a shit enough. It's like, oh yeah, that's a tune. Yeah.
You know why I say that though, really? Because when I think there's this huge. Obviously, we love pedals.
Yeah,
pedals are great. It's awesome. But when I grew up, it was like when I grew up back in my day, you had your Marshall, and I loved Eddie Van Halen, so it was like the component is the amp on cranked,
right?
And then you roll the guitar down for clean. There's your distortion pedal. It's the big amp, it's the amp.
That's it.
And with just the amp at the cabinet, you can do a gig. I mean, we've all had to my board's broken, plug right in, and so that's why I said tuner.
Since you brought up Eddie and a Marshall, I gave him a super lead and a plexi.
Really?
6972 Marshall heads. Yeah, because I'm nice. And I brought him over to the studio at his house, and he threw them up. And the reason why I gave them to him is because I never used non-master Marshalls. I bought them because you're supposed to have them, right? Like, I'm supposed to play out of this, but I hate the way it sounds, because you put it on 3 and it's too loud already. And it's like clink, clink, clink. It's like, what's the point in these, right? I just didn't get it.
Okay. So
I bring it over and he sets them both up. And I think we just had 5150 cabinets. And he just dimes the amp and turns the bass all the way down And
you turn the bass down
all the way down.
You remember that
I
specifically.
remember that specifically.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Turn the bass all the way down because it doesn't need it. Once you've maxed the amp out, that the bass is like neither here nor there and can add a woofiness. Dime's the amp, and I think he had like, whatever the first Wolfgang was. And nope, it was my red Charvel. I had a red maple body, like translucent red with super distortion PAF set up maple neck.
Okay.
And he loved that guitar. So he like plugs it in, turns it on, and I'm like, wait a minute. You mean that's how, how did that happen? It's not blowing my head off. And it's got tons of distortion, and it sounds like Eddie Van Halen. I mean, granted, it's Eddie Van Halen playing.
Right.
I'm like, give me that, He goes, yeah, like I said in every interview, you turn them all the way up. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. So that's ideally what we all, guys like you and I that just want to play great rock. That's ideal.
Yeah.
That circuit from the super lead, the plexi, whatever you want to call it, the 100 watt EL34s.
Yeah.
Dime it out, turn the bass all the way down, and have, the super distortion pickup. And that's it.
Well,
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like, give me my amps back, man. But too late.
The amazing thing that I like, and even in listening yesterday, because I was really listening and doing some comparing specifically to like a Jose mod that I have. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to get the Jose to sound the same as my Marshall 50, but at a low, get the Jose to do it at a lower volume. Mm-hmm. And you can totally get there with the gain. And it sounds great. The Jose's got its own thing. They're almost like more teethy. Yeah. Or it's got that aggressive thing. But the 50, just yesterday when I was banging back and forth, it sounds like a cat. Like it does this, like you hit the chord and it goes with the distortion. Right. And you can literally, I've talked about this before in the show, but you can hear the transformer sag in the amp if you're not in the same room as the cab. You hear the amp go and it kind of like you hear it buzz, and because the whole amp is sagging under the voltage. Right. And so the chord transforms after you hit it. As it fades, right? That's called harmonic distortion. Yes. And if you're interested in good sound, look up harmonic distortion. And voltage sag. Yeah. Because it's, and you see the pilot, dim. Oh, yeah. As the whole thing dims. Whereas on the Jose, it's got a more linear sound. So you hit it and it sounds great, and the distortion's great. It's very cool, but it doesn't do that thing where it evolves. Yeah. After you hit it. That's the only thing I find. I think, the Jose thing's kind of a mystical creature in a way, because from what I understand, Jose did some mods on Eddie's pedals. He put a boost in his flanger, buffers or something, things like that. Yeah. But as far as I know, that Eddie's amps are stock Marshalls. Pretty much. As far as I know, as far as what I am pretty sure I know. Yeah. And they're 100 watts. And he did have some JMPs too, but sure. But the thing was that he just figured out to turn the fucking thing all the way up. Yeah. And the theory behind it was, well, they test them all the way up. Uh-huh. So if they're testing an amplifier on 10, why shouldn't you play it on 10? Like they're capable of doing that. So yeah, that's what you should do. Which is the case with you can trust the power section of any big manufacturer's amplifier, because they're tested to stay clean no matter what you put through it. They're clean. Like they're not going to distort on their own, because they're not designed to. Well, if a Marshall has preamp tubes in it, the preamp tubes are designed in that circuit to distort. Right. So the only way you're going to get them to distort is you got to turn them all the way up, because if not, we don't have a master volume. We don't have a preamp separate gain to send voltage just to the preamp tubes. So it's a simple thing. And it's like my favorite Marshall is the Origin 50 now, because it performs exactly as a Marshall should. It's just like done, wham, there it is, done. Right. And it's such a specific thing. Oh, okay. So back to Eddie again is the Deluxe. On Van Halen 1, there's the Marshall, but there's also the Deluxe. He's mic'd up on the Deluxe too. Really? The Deluxe was attached to
to an AC outlet that was on a dimmer switch. Okay. And when they solo the guitar, Eddie's like, that amp sounds so good. That's where the whole attenuator thing comes from. That's the Variac story.
Okay, now you're freaking me out because I don't know any of this.
At Sunset Sound, yeah. So he's got there's 2 tracks. There's the Fender Deluxe track that was on the dimmer on accident, and then there's the Marshall track.
I don't know. We'll talk. We have to talk more about this.
Yeah. So that's crazy, nutty, kind of inside stuff, but that's true story.
It's like, to me, you can run it. I mean, Hot for Teacher is actually a perfect example of, you can crank the thing on 10 and then you simply roll down the volume. Well, there you go. You get the 2 pickups on the V that he used and it's clean as a whistle. So that's the whole range of sound there. And so on a Marshall, to me, it's like, why not get the range by turning it all the way up? And then you can just roll down the volume.
The thing is when, like, I could walk into a club with a 15-watt amp and they tell me to turn down now.
Well, that's true, right?
It's it's like
crazy.
The struggle is brutal.
Yeah.
When I used to use 100-watt Marshalls for real, that was literally in arenas and big theaters. And when we would have to play clubs, I still brought the rig in. Yeah. And it was a nightmare.
Don't you find though with that, like, you're setting up at sound check and the room's empty and it's like, the guy's like, play guitar for me, and you're like, it's going to be, he's going to get, that's too loud off the stage, but as soon as it fills up with people, as soon as the drummer starts hitting the cymbals and the bass player comes in and eats up all the low end, it just slots in there perfect.
Oh, the guitar amp's never going to be louder than a crash cymbal.
Right?
Never.
It's
so it's like, and we know that because no matter how loud we are, as soon as the guy's just rocking on the cymbals, we can't hear the guitar anymore. Exactly. So, I mean, it's just a struggle, but in reality, a maxed out plexi with a super distortion pickup, or if you're Joe Walsh, that's it really, and then you add the $50 mod if you want to start getting really cool feedback. Yeah. And essentially, I guess that's really what Hendrix did. He was playing single coil pickups through 100-watt amps, and he was using KT88s too. He actually used live most of the time. Those amps were called JTM 100s. Right. So they were like a 100-watt JTM 45.
Double power JTM 45, essentially, sort of. Yeah.
So like that was his thing, but he got pretty gainy even before he hit the pedal live. Yeah. But if Hendrix and Eddie kind of nailed it, and Randy kind of brought Eddie to the next level, I feel tonally. Yeah. Like he kind of like took that sound live and made it out of control, which was really, if you really analyze it, it's somewhere between Eddie and Jimmy, Randy's sound. It's like because Jimmy would get so out of control, and Eddie was more in control, and Randy was kind of like, with some Richie Blackmore in there or something.
Yeah, but that distinct mid range that
So like all these amps and everything, but I have 2 friends that are real assholes, and one of them goes, "Yeah, it sounds like a Marshall." That's like one of my friends' attitude, and then my other friend's attitude is like, "Hey Tracy, you should play out of those amps. What are they called? The ones that like only the good guys use." Yeah, Marshall. Yeah, why don't you use those? So I mean,
all right.
There is that snobbery, which is totally legit, and I totally get it. But I can't use any of these bigger ones anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, we've been using the RJS, which is like I love that thing. It's like 100-watt, like 800, like JMP more. And we will run the head rush camera there through that. Yeah, the RJS up there.
It's like a Porsche.
Like if you want like a modern day plexi.
So where are those made?
JMP, Colorado.
Okay.
This is like the best way I can describe it for me personally is it's like a real plexi with a master line. Okay. So it gets you there, and then you can it never really gets quiet. Even if you get the master down to like 1, 2, it's still like, it's real loud. But it's a 100-watt small box, and my friend Bobby Smith makes these. And I don't think he's been really working, but if you want, that's like the one to get.
I gotta get you hip to the power station, which is the thing I'm using in my studio to. It's basically a load box and a reamp.
Okay.
So you could take that, run it into the power station. It loads it down with a reactive load, so it keeps all the feel and everything. And then it's got a built-in tube power amp to reamp it back up to whatever level you want, which can be bedroom volume, as quiet as you're playing here.
Really?
Yeah. And the other thing that it adds that's awesome is an effect loop. So it's got a post, so you can add your delay or whatever.
Oh,
with
really?
your plexi and get your thing.
I need that.
Yeah, it's amazing. They're really great.
Sounds great.
It's you can. The other neat thing is if say you had a class 5 origin, the little guy.
I got that little.
Or the class 5. I mean, the little Marshall. You could take that and get that at any volume, up to 100 watts.
Up to 100 watts.
Yeah, so you can take a little like a Champ, or and so it just gives you total control with the exact sound. So they're great.
I see what's coming in the mail next.
They're so good. It's really a good thing.
I would like that.
Yeah. And it's also got an impedance selector for the input and for the output. So you could run a 4 ohm. See, you could run a super reverb that's 2 ohms. Into a 16 ohm 412.
So the stereo, or you have to buy 2?
Got to buy 2 to do that. It's not stereo, but it's killer. It's killer. And it's not that big. It's only, it's 100 watt.
Like a little lunchbox kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I can't.
Yeah, I must have some device that's similar to that.
I mean, it's as cumbersome as the power brick, maybe.
That's the most rare thing I have.
Oh, what's that?
The Montgomery Ward amp.
Oh, crazy!
It's great.
Wow.
It sounds like a Marshall.
I like Marshall.
7 watts or 14 watts.
Well, this has been super fun. I should look over here and see if you guys got questions and stuff. Because sorry, I've been ignoring you, but we got 781 people online, which is awesome.
Let's talk to some of them.
And let's do it.
We'll do short answers.
Let's see here. Telly says that he downloaded TRACII rigs off the Headrush website. Killer stuff. He digs them.
Right on.
How much? Do you have
They're
packages
free.
on? Oh, are they?
Yeah. So I think I added one. I added an Eddie Van Halen rig. Like it's called Atomic Ed.
Okay.
And it's good. So what it is I put the delay in front of the amp.
Okay.
Plexi maxed out. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And it's got. We didn't do my standard Eddie effects, which are very right.
That nails it. That sounds perfect. Yeah.
And then I don't have my flanger on this one. But yeah, I always have that phase shifter, and usually
That's a really good phase 90 in there. That sounds
right.
Good. Yeah. I mean, it sounds right.
It does what it's supposed to.
Yeah. When you hear it, and it's like, okay, there it is. It's like.
And that was a P90. So yeah.
Sounds even better when it's loud.
It just sounds so good in stereo loud.
Michael Mitchell says he misses the days of the Cat Club. Sounds like he knew you from back then.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The cat. Yeah, cat. Yeah. That was a long time ago, though.
Definitely, right? Yeah. Purposeful Porpoise says the maker of RJS amps is an Eddie freak.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a Van Halen tribute band, really?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's awesome. He's a great player. 6
AI7s and everything. That's interesting. Yeah, it's like it's funny because 2 of my best friends are John Suhr and Dave Friedman. So people think sometimes that I know more boutique amps than I maybe do, but I pretty much, because I know those guys. Right. I don't get out that much when it comes to, you know what I mean, amps. Well, it's like I don't get to try a different, or I could if I put more effort in, I suppose.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. Man.
There's a lot of stuff. So only so many hours in the day, right? It's
man. I have 2 kids that live 5,500 miles apart from each other, so it's like, wow. Time is a thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's difficult.
It's weird.
That's next level, right? Splitting that time. All right, let's see what else we got here. Looking through all the AI says that he thinks Jimmy had 2 fuzz faces in series for all that gain. I don't know.
Nice.
I never saw pictures of that. But
no, me either.
He might have tried it.
We could pretend he did. It sounds awesome.
It probably would. It probably sound killer. Let's see here. C Post says that he's got a rock and roll relics Billy Rowe Les Paul style guitar with DiMarzio 59 cream. Looks and sounds amazing. I love the rock and roll relics guitars, actually. That guy does really nice work.
Yeah, we got one here.
Oh, you?
Yeah, I got my own model.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
He did one with you. That's interesting.
The gunfight.
Great. Okay, we got to check this out.
Billy and I grew up in the LA scene, even though he's from San Francisco.
Billy, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know him, but I've met him a couple times. Jet Boy, right?
Coolest guy, man. and these guitars are legit. But I think he's moved on to, who's he working for? Dave Friedman.
I think there's might be a thing. Yeah,
Yes.
he's doing something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe I shouldn't have said that yet.
I don't know.
But yes, that's the idea.
No, I don't know.
Here's a rock and roll relics.
I'll bet you.
Look at that.
Yeah, he's aging, and I love the finish over finish thing. That he
Yeah.
does. That's cool.
Titties,
Sunburst. Yeah, I mean that looks badass.
Caesar,
really
don't
cool.
get mad at me.
That's cool, man.
Really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, he has a great eye for like the aging.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah.
that,
The thing
You're
about
tracking
Billy
this
is he's a
stuff.
patient person.
Yeah,
And patient people can do things like this, where they just are like,
finishing and aging, and yeah, it
I-
takes right with the razor blade and the
yeah, and just getting everything just right. Me, I kind of just throw shit on the ground and like, oh, that sounds great, let's go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shotgun Rebel says Billy playing with Buck Cherry. Did he play with Buck Cherry?
He is now.
Is he?
He's playing with Buck Cherry now.
Ah.
And he just joined recently.
So who's in Buck Cherry now for guitars? Because I remember it's Keith, right? Is he?
It is no, Keith's not in the band anymore.
He's not,
So I don't know. Oh, Stevie. Stevie's one guitarist,
Stevie.
and now Billy Rose the other guitarist.
Okay, interesting. Let's see here. Somebody's asking about the Rick Nielsen 59 that you own. Is that a cool?
You can go get that one. This whole thing's gonna
check
be
it.
full of guitars.
I know it's. Well, I took the picture too early. I took a group photo here a while ago, and it was obviously premature. So
Might as well give my first chub tone.
let's see here.
Not even close.
Who makes the stereo pedal board amp? It's Headrush.
Headrush, yeah.
Which I've done a video for. You can see my video of it. I've done a video for both the smaller one and the bigger one, which is cool too. This one you've got here.
And I'm totally not supposed to
Yeah.
say this.
Yeah.
But they have a really little one coming out. It's awesome.
In the last 5 minutes, we've been like,
I just brought
Giving away.
all the ones up here.
so this is the Rick guitar. Wow,
Yeah, this is Rick Nielsen,
rad,
yeah.
dude. Yeah. So is this like a 59?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think these came out in 2016.
16.
So there's 75 total.
Mm-hmm.
25 that are totally messed up like that one, 25 that are kind of messed up, and 25 that are like brand new.
Okay.
And so this is like a fully relic one.
Well.
This, I recorded that Sunbomb record, that super metal record I have coming out.
Okay.
This is the only guitar I used on that album.
Oh, really?
And those are super PAF, like.
Okay. So they like copied Rick's pickups or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever's going
it's
on.
like real legit. God, it gets dusty up in this house.
Then you got that one. You got the black one there.
Yeah, 57.
So I don't have to run that.
I love that.
It's so Jimmy Page. I mean, it's Rick Nielsen, but it's so Jimmy Page.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one, though. I love Page, as much as I'm a metal guy, Page is my first guy. I love Page. But this, what other rig do I have in here? That's all I got in here. Yeah, too bad.
Good stereo going on there. So, Red Rover says that he's paying me to kill the tip banner because it was probably in the way of you showing off your guitars for part of that.
Oh, no.
This thing on the bottom of the screen. Thanks, Red Rover. Appreciate that. But we can see with your small comment here, short comment, we can see this guitar perfectly, I think. That's rad.
Such a nice guitar. And
Yeah, it sounds really good.
And besides that, it's like super authentic 59 Les Paul.
Yeah.
It's light like a real 59 Les Paul.
It is light. Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's probably like Oh yeah, it's like 8.5.
I'm just trying to get Pete to tune my guitar.
For sure. Oh. I forgot. What did I do with my one pick I've got here? Your pick.
Yeah. It's that PAF sound is so amazing. It's like, yeah, we love the super distortion, but like for that music,
Yeah.
like a real PAF sound, nothing beats it, man. I mean, that's the sound of classic rock.
Well, it's this snotty thing, you know?
It's like,
yeah, where it just is so cool.
Mick Ronson, even, you know, like,
Yeah.
Just like that, just really like, hi, I'm a fucking guitar,
Yeah.
you know, like nothing fancy. Yeah.
Ooh, an octave. See, that's it. When I write riffs, this is like the tone. It'll be like.
Yeah,
The tone dictates the riff, right? To me.
see, how fun is this?
Oh, it's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do. It's like I have this where it's like everything's already there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, with this, absolutely, where you got your sounds that are inspirational
There. You
dialed
know?
in. Well, that is the beauty of,
Yeah.
and with the Ad Rush or with the Helix, or if you've
Yeah.
got a pedal board that you've got really dialed in with a
Right.
switcher and being able to get to your inspirational tones really quick, it's pretty special.
It's just easy, you know, and I think all of us really have a way of making it difficult on ourselves over time. I'm just like, you know, which fucking, you know, fuzz, what's the right germanium transistor for the fuzz I'm trying to get? You know,
Absolutely, dude.
and it's real, you know, I mean, I get it, and I'm there because I mean, I love fuzz, and it's so hard to replicate the fuzz sound in your head.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I have a certain fuzz sound in my head, but it's so difficult to get that one, you know. And,
Yeah.
and fuzz is the most tricky one.
Yes.
You running out of room?
Well, because it can be so amp dependent too, right? Like,
I found that, like,
That's awesome.
we were talking about Hendrix, you know, it's like, you know, he just let his thing go through whatever Marshall that happened to be at the show. But for me, there's two fuzz sounds, right? It's like clean amp, turn the fuzz on, and you're nasty, right? Like, you know, kind of like hole or something. I don't know. That, like, you know, A-B. There's a really good example is what do they call it? The song's called "Send Me a Postcard." You know, what's that? The Blues Explode. What do they call it?
Oh, you just
Shocking Blue from the Netherlands. They wrote Venus. I'm your Venus.
oh, really?
But they have this real psychedelic fuzz sound called "Send Me a Postcard," and the guy goes from clean amp to his fuzz pedal, and it's like that's it.
Right.
Nails it. But then
We're Big Muff kind of clean amp,
right,
full blown. Yeah, Billy Corgan.
which that's an awesome sound.
Yeah.
But then there's like this kind of thing that I like. It's the solo in Kings and Queens by Aerosmith. And that is like a Big Muff again, or a fuzz face, or what do they call it? A tri-wave fuzz.
Okay.
Going through a dirty amp, which gives you like this ultimate sustainy, but still,
yeah,
you know, some buzz.
Amp overdrive piled with fuzz on it.
Yeah.
Which is more Hendrix to me too.
To
Could
me
be fuzz
too.
face and then with the Octavia, and then you get this
What's that
blended
one I
distortion.
got this one.
what the thing? It's right on the top, I think.
Crap Guitar Shows out there saying that us two have made a Sunday perfect. That's awesome, man. Thank you for tuning in. We're just having fun.
There's two cool things. Benson preamp.
Oh yeah. So yes, and I'm familiar with this one because this is an amp and a pedal.
It is. It's awesome.
He took his what's
like his
Chimera or whatever
Chimera,
and he put it in a pedal. And the Chase Bliss folks collaborated with him and took this pedal and then put it in the one they've got with the sliders.
Yeah. Oh, you saw that?
Too. Yeah, which is
with
amazing.
fuzz. Yeah,
I love that pedal.
Nuts.
Like so much.
So
yeah,
Chris,
that's great.
I'm his T-shirt endorser. I don't know if you knew that. Like you can usually see me 90% of the time in a photo wearing a Benson T-shirt.
Oh, really? Cool.
That's the thing. Yeah, we're good friends. I love that guy. But this I always use if I want to get the Zeppelin 1 sound.
Okay.
Like if I want to get that,
blown up little amp.
Yeah, it just does that. Like if you double track this, you can get like that exact sound of like how many more times. It's like, whoa.
Awesome.
So this is really good for that. This is also like, I gotta explain it. It's not Marshall. This does not sound like a Marshall. It's like a weird overdriven Supro. I mean, I guess it sounds like a Chimera, but in the real world, people who want reference.
Yeah.
This will really give you that Zeppelin 1 sound,
sure.
through any clean amp. And then this is the Hendrix Fuzz.
Oh, I love this. I use this on tour, this one, man.
Yeah. So maybe you could explain it better. It has two modes.
Well, actually, I think this I can't remember this because I know they make two of them. I'm not sure if this is the one that I use, but I think it might be. Is this fuzz? Can this do fuzz facey?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's like fuzz face.
Yeah, so this is what I ended up using on tour with Classic Rock Show last year, actually, because this just sounded great. I could do the roll down, right? Clean up, and get the cleany, and it was awesome. So that's that little Hendrixy.
I got that at Orchestra Ground.
The LED's too bright.
It's very bright.
It is bright.
Very,
very
the blue
bright.
LED, right?
You can't see what you're doing. You're looking at the pedal.
Yeah, but it's got, I think, silicon and germanium mode.
That's the modes, yeah.
Yeah, where it gets a little more gnarly in the silicon mode, but it's great.
Yeah,
it's a really good
pedal.
Yeah, that's cool.
What a bitch I have. The fucking LED's too bright.
No, that's a thing. Even on amps, like the Pilot light.
Is.
When a Pilot's too bright on an amp, it drives. When you see a band on stage, the only thing you can see when they're coming on is the damn Pilot of the amp. That's where it's like a beacon. But Mike says he wishes you had more gear.
Yeah, me too. No, I don't wish I had more gear.
You haven't seen that.
This is cool. This guy, McQuacken Effects, prototype number 1. This is like your real. What's the fuzz pedal that everybody loves?
Like a Big Muff Fuzz Face.
Yeah, Big Muff
Fuzz. Is it fuzz?
Tone Bender.
Tone Bender. So this one's so real that after it's on for about 5 minutes, like it starts like just going to hell.
Oh, really?
Because it's
germanium.
The germanium.
On a hot day, it's like, what the hell? Yeah. Like it changes the sound.
So this is the only one I have that's real.
Oh, amazing!
This guy made it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean the guitar volume interaction is like nothing else with a good, But yeah, that's just they're temperamental. But when you roll down and you get that magic, that cleanup thing, that sounds all. A lot of people spend a lot of time changing their pickups, trying to get the magic roll down.
Well,
and it's like
it's that. But also, I feel like single coils do work better with fuzz pedals.
Yeah, for the most part, I totally agree.
Where's Adam Grimm's pedals?
I don't know.
The satellite guys?
Hell, I don't know. Everything's right there, though.
I don't see the satellite. Maybe I put those out.
Maybe it's back in there further.
It's funny. Robert's asking a question here.
Find it. There it is, right there. They're both next to each other.
We're going to get to this, Robert, because this is a good question.
Yep.
Oh, wow. What the heck are those? You show me all kinds of stuff I've never seen before.
So these are made by Satellite amps. And
wow.
Let's see.
The Bradicator. I like the name.
Yeah, it's insane. I haven't used these on. One of these is like a legit 24 dB boost.
Oh.
Like we'll just smash the front end of your amp. The other's more like a preamp. I can't remember which one is which.
This has got a volume and a gain, so I bet this is the preamp or the smash the front end.
Yeah, and this is more like the distortion.
Right.
These are just like
bitching.
They are, but you have to be playing loud. Like you have to have your amp running efficiently, like full on, and then you benefit from these amps. They're not really like if you have like a deluxe on 2, get that really nice sound. You're not going to benefit much from these. But if like you're playing a gig and you want real boost, a real gain, like, like overdrive, like
it's cool.
These are the top of the line.
Amazing.
Shall I?
So Robert's asking, on your opinion, solid state versus tube amps. Do you miss a tube amp on stage? And we got to point out that you do still play through a tube amp.
Yeah.
The power section.
Yeah.
Your rig is kind of hybrid.
It is hybrid, and I feel like though as soon as you put a distortion pedal in front of your tube amp, you're hybrid already.
Sure.
Because you're taking solid state technology and you're driving the front end.
Yeah. And
that's really where the JCM 900 Jubilee kind of thing happened, where there's like one FET or something in there.
Yep.
In those, which is like adding a distortion pedal to the amp inside the amp. So I don't feel funny. There was a point in time where, I was in Gilby Clark's studio and he tricked me. He had a pod, and he goes, "Hey, this AC15 setting on here sounds exactly like your 800." I'm like, yeah, okay. This is like the year the pod came out,
right?
So we recorded a guitar track, and he didn't tell me that he had split me into the pod as well. So he plays the tracks back. He goes, "Oh, which mic do you like better?" I go, "That one sounds really good." I go, "They sound kind of the same." I go, "But I guess that one." He goes, "That's the pod." And I was like, and that was the day. I was like, "What is that thing? Where do I get it? And how do I buy stock in the company?" Kind of. Right. It was like such a revelation that don't we have? Yeah, see those guys up there?
Oh yeah, the
old one and a new one.
I have 4 of those. They're all programmed for live.
There's pods up there for those.
Yeah. The Pod XTs, and they sound great.
Dude, I took one to the Philippines, and I did a couple of the bigger gigs I've ever played. I mean, I did a gig for 50,000 people with one of those.
Yeah.
And the reason was because I was playing pop music with an artist,
right?
And it's like not totally I'm not Eddie Van Halen up there. It's like it's mixed in the music. Yeah. And I was like, what am I going to get in the Philippines if I rent? I don't know if it's going to be any good. Right. And like what? So I was like, why don't I just program this thing? I'll have all my sounds, and I'll know I'll be dialed. And sure enough, I went over there and nobody got hurt.
It's great technology. And the funny thing about the Line 6 stuff is the early stuff and the Helix are great. And then the HD series in between is not so great. It has a weird glitch. Is the only way I can describe it, to where when you use flangers and phasers, it adds a weird, like, it's called a transient sound. It's a sound you don't want. And I was never able to dial any HD, like the 500 HD or whatever. I could never dial those in to get the same exact sound as these lower quality ones.
The old pod, yeah. That's interesting, because a lot of people still have an affinity for the original pods.
Yeah,
that's true.
They're good. They're really good.
Something to it. But so having said this, he was kind of asking a question about solid state amps. You do have one sitting right here, which is the dime amp, right?
Oh, this thing's a monster.
So is it similar to the old Randalls?
It is. It's an Randall RG 120 ES.
Okay.
That's what Dime used. I used those too back in the day.
Did you? Oh,
yeah. I was a Randall guy.
Okay.
So what's cool about these is if you turn the boost off, it sounds like a Marshall.
Oh.
Right? It sounds like a Marshall. It sounds like an 800, the same amount of gain as an 800. It's just like, wow, this is the rock and roll amp.
Okay.
And whatever kind of tube emulation they figured out, they figured it out with this amp. But when you turn the boost in, it cuts about 9 dB of this. It just does.
Yeah.
And you crank it up, and you have really essentially, I guess, Dimebag. That was his sound, and he really defined the sound of Pantera.
Yeah.
And this is I got 2 of these, and they're,
it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing, and it's like you got a really great Eddie Van Halen tone out of these too.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's why the delays are up there. I was messing with that, but
that's cool.
Yeah, those are good. And then I've got Magnetone down here. That's the most expensive amp ever made.
Like an old one or
No, it's a
That's a
new
new one.
Oh, dude, is that the
Greatest
stereo
Yeah,
one?
stereo twin.
Oh god, that amp. Okay, this amp over here. Here, I gotta get the.
It's the greatest amp
Here,
ever.
I'll bring it up.
I'll take the thing off the screen. Sorry, guys, when it's just me here
You're
doing
gonna
this,
pop a
it's
ball.
hard to remove the.
That's the heaviest amp ever made, too.
I lost my banner that had both of us on there, so it's just going to be my name for a second here in the interest of time. But yeah, this thing is stereo.
Yep.
And it has a built-in vibrato sort of tremolo.
Well, it has their own. It's the vibrato, and it's called something.
It's harmonic, I think. Like the
Well, they have harmonic, and they have
stereo pitch shifting vibrato.
yeah, and then they have AM and FM, and it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's one of the nicest sounds when you just plug into it. You put a nice Telly or Strat or something. You play a chord, and you're just like, oh my god, like it's swirling around. And
Yeah, like if you're not ready for it, it is a seasick
right
thing. If it just comes out of nowhere,
yeah,
it's so three-dimensional.
yeah.
And we use that live. Sometimes I use that amp. Like I'll use like that
cool.
with where's the purple pedal? With the purple plexi pedal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, like I'll pretend because this little plexi pedal.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
The love pedal thing.
Those are cool, yeah.
So this, with the tape delay through the input of the amp
Must sound incredible.
is really good.
And then into the power
It's
section,
pretty simple.
Yeah.
we come out of that into those 212.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we run
That speaker
the
out
speakers
there.
in there, and then two of those Marshalls back there. The 212
really gets wide and seasicky.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Yeah, I just remember hearing this for the first time
They're
at a
so cool.
store in Nashville. It was at Vintage King in Nashville, and I was just like, "Oh my god, that's one of the best sounding amps I'd heard." And it just blew my mind, like the sound.
Well, it's funny because they're two 22-watt amps, I guess,
Yeah, stereo tube, right?
which is like two deluxes, but it's so much louder than two deluxes. Like that amp is so loud.
Mm.
It's like,
Just efficient.
I mean, I can use that in LA Guns by itself.
Is that right? Yeah.
No issue. It's like I'm not even on half. It's just like, oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
expensive.
That's pretty
Worth it.
cool. Well, who else we got here? Let's see.
So worth it.
We should probably go soon. We've been going for a while. I think we're over where are we at now? Yeah, just about 2 hours. So we'll hang for a few more questions and stuff, guys. Then we'll split. This has been so much fun.
Good times.
It's a great way to spend a Sunday. The amp is sweet, says Paul Lucas. They are really good. Like it's if you haven't tried one and you get a chance to try one of these magnetones, check it out. It's cool.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Arthur says he's got a 53, an original.
Oh, magnetone?
Cool. Yeah.
With the vibrato.
Yeah, that's what I wonder because they made different ones. They made some without, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like
The Gibson place where you pick your guitar up,
Mhm.
they're littered with all those magnets.
Yeah, they got magnetones in it, but I think Gibson just bought Mesa Boogie now.
Oh, really?
So they got like all the rectifiers and everything.
they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Let's
Right.
see how that works out. I've heard people like that have concerns and stuff. Then I'm like, I don't know. Like Gibson's got new management, and maybe it's gonna. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I talked to Caesar about Gibson amplifiers about 2 years ago, because they got the amps, Epiphone, Kramer,
Yeah.
Gibson. They also own Maestro,
Oh.
which, Echoplexes, obviously. So
Yeah.
my first meeting with Caesar, I'm like, we're going to make Echoplexes. And he's
Mhm.
like, I don't know. We'll get to that later. I'm like, let me run that division. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think that at the end of the day, they decided that the Gibson amp brand wasn't ready. Like they weren't ready to put a bunch of money into that yet because first they had to get the real Les Pauls slamming, and they did, they achieved that.
Right.
So Gibson had their best sales year ever.
Wow.
During the pandemic ever.
Wow.
So, they just got Kramer up and rocking. And so I think Mesa Boogie is the next logical step. They got it. Now they're going to put it out there. Because I think, the bigger amp companies are struggling.
Yeah.
Loud amps, who wants a loud amp anymore? You know what I mean?
It's where somebody like Friedman, he's done really, really well.
Yeah.
But he's filling a niche, I think, where it's like, and maybe there's just, like you said, the big amp companies, could be a thing where there's just like not the volume there, the market for a big amp. Maybe it's like the smaller companies are.
Yeah, I think
something.
Well, look at Chris Benson with Benson Amps, man.
Right.
He can't keep his dealer stocked. You know, he can't.
Yeah.
I think I might do something with Benson in the future.
Cool.
Something that'll help them to get more product, to their dealers.
He's making he's got his little smaller amps that are very simple, and there's a lot of players using pedals these days, so they plug it into the amp and with the pedals to get the tone. His amp makes a lot of sense for a lot of players, kind of like a class 5 or an Origin Marshall, like simple.
Yeah.
I thought Marshall was really smart bringing out their the vintage. How they're making little 20-watt 800.
Yeah.
20 watt.
Yeah,
smart. Lower vol. It's giving people what they want, and that's what I think amp manufacturers have got to do.
They got to do it. You
got to.
I mean, look at the D50s. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Perfect. Like I can play
Dumble.
It's a Dumble circuit.
Is it? It looks like a Dumble. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
So
you can't see it because there's a lot of
guitars. Yeah. You could before,
but now we got Les Pauls.
But we have run the 4-cable system through the Headrush with their preamp.
Yeah,
sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
It sounds great, man.
Yeah.
But I mean this is a hand wired amp, and I think in the U.S. they're made in the U.S. The heads are. I think they're like $800.
Is that right?
Yeah. Or maybe they're not manufactured here, but they're hand wired though. They're the real deal, and they have some kind of setup online to where you can get suggested modifications where you can do the mods yourself.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So like VHT, they're really doing something different right now. And that's why I got excited about them. They're open to ideas and what's next. And, and these amps they sound so good.
That's cool. Before we go, because I know there's a lot of people here. We still got 716 people online. There's a bunch of people that came probably after we showed your Kramer. Would you mind if we grab your signature? Yeah, I wonder where it went. It must. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
This is your signature guitar. We can close out with this because you guys should check this out.
Play that.
This is badass.
Badass, man.
It really plays good. He's got the Epiphone mods on it, which was it the only mod I think you did to the guitar, right?
It is. Here, I'm going to give you a good Ed.
I love that. I can play that riff all day long.
It's like, so you need to do your own Instagram favorite riff series too.
Yeah, I actually started that this week for Van Halen riffs. I was like, I got to do like Van Halen.
It's awesome. Yeah. People love it.
Yeah. Where you come from?
Yeah, kind of like, I'm into this, I'm into this, I'm into that.
What you're inspired by. But this guitar kind of it makes you want to play like that. Right?
It does. And that's why I wanted to have a guitar. I mean, I always have something like that.
Yeah.
And this was the opportunity to really nail it, and to really have that one guitar that does that thing that I do on that style guitar.
It's so much fun, man. I mean, it looks like it's ready to rock.
And I think they're almost gone now. So that means hopefully we're going to start talking about doing like a Gunstar 2.
Yeah.
Which will be a different color. And it'll be super cool.
Wow. So it was limited.
500 pieces, yeah.
500.
So
wow.
It's only 500.
Okay, so if you want one, you better. It's damn cool, man. It's set neck.
Yeah, set
so
neck.
A lot of people would see a star and probably assume a bolt or something, but it's got a great cutaway there. I mean, it plays amazing. This is nice too.
Little volute,
so it doesn't break.
Hey, where are the tools, Fitz? Where are the tools?
They never were on it. I swear to God.
Oh, this is the prototype, right?
Yeah, they were never on.
I don't have my Floyd wrenches on this one, but whatever.
You don't need to.
Melanie says this was awesome. Hey, I had a great time too. I had so much fun doing this.
Oh, so fun.
We got to do this again. You can come to my place sometime.
Yeah, I will. Next time I'll come down there.
Yeah.
We'll bring it all through your stuff.
I'm sorry if I
Hey,
missed
Pete,
any chats and like from you guys out there. But I tried to get to get questions and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like we had fun.
Yeah, I mean it's more of like instead of singing in somebody's car, it's like, hey, look at all this stuff.
Exactly. I mean, Jesus. Look at what we ended up with here for guitars. It's crazy.
Oh my god! Yeah, we started with 3 guitars.
Yeah, we started with like 3. That's right.
But every one of those got brought out because it came up in conversation.
Right.
That's true.
So like these are all Les Pauls, but they're all different. How weird is that?
Yeah.
Like each one of these Les Pauls does something different, So
that's true.
you can't say they're a one-trick pony.
You get your P90. What's that?
They love being together. They just look so cozy.
They do look.
They do actually. Yeah. You should keep it like this all the time. Man. Although I'm scared about the headstocks. That's the only thing. If you trip and
it's when you're extra careful is when you break the headstock.
Oh.
I'm just saying,
dude. Okay. Funny story. Quick one, and we'll let you guys go. A black Les Paul Custom, got around 2001, 2002. I used that guitar as my main guitar over the years for a number of years. And then with Chris Cornell, it was definitely like the main guitar I used. And we used to rip all the strings off it. Because I said, did you ever see the movie Black and Blue, which is Blue Oyster Cult and Black Sabbath?
No.
Blue Oyster Cult and Black Sabbath, Dio era Sabbath. And
It's a good thing.
it's a great concert movie.
Yeah.
But so I always remember Buck Dharma at the end ripping all the strings off the guitar, and then ending up with the low E string. So bang, 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 brrr, on the low E. And that was like the end of the show. And
That's awesome.
It looks so fucking cool. It was like, so I used to do that. I totally stole that with Cornell. I'd bust all the strings off the guitar.
Right.
And sometimes he'd come over and grab like 3 at a time and just rip them off the neck. And it was like, so
it hurts thinking about it.
It could be painful, but in the moment. So we abused the shit out of this guitar is the point, right? For like, I don't know, we probably did that 80 times,
Wow, yeah.
And then one day at rehearsal, the guitar's sitting on a stand. I back up and I put my leg into the stand, and the guitar kind of slowly, very on carpet, goes just kind of tilts very slowly and kind of hits the ground, and that stops.
Yeah, nothing major. It just broke the headstock.
Well, there's other major. I thought it'd be at a show when we're abusing
that weird law of physics, like
Yeah, but the whole thing, it wasn't fast motion, but you saw it in slow motion.
Yeah, that's really what happened. You saw it in slow motion.
As I saw it, I was like, it's probably going to be okay.
I can catch it.
I actually didn't even try because I thought it's going to be all right. That's what I thought. It was going so slow, and I thought it'd be all right. Oh shit! Watch that stuck in the strings.
Oh, it's so brutal when especially when it's like your guitar. That's like that's my guitar. That's the one I play.
Exactly.
That's did you get it fixed?
Yeah, it's great. Okay. A lot of people say they sound better after you.
That's what they do say.
Yeah.
And if next time I have to have a headstock repair, I'm going to say the same thing.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It's awesome. Anyways,
thank you guys. This was so much fun. And I'll see you next Sunday. Hey, I've got an affiliate link in the description below there for Sweetwater. So if you need a kazoo or some picks,
a head rush,
or perhaps a head,
or a Kramer Gunstar,
a Kramer Gunstar. Do they? No, they probably still have some, right? You got to have.
You can look.
You guys should go to Sweetwater and look, see if they still got Kramer Gunstars, because it's a badass guitar. I really enjoyed playing that.
That's the right price. And in Danish, hej hej, farvel, vi ses snart.